Thank you, Madam Vice President. Good morning. Article 26 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 1948 proclaimed that everyone has the right to education. It also sets the aims of education that everyone should receive. Education shall be directed to the full development of the human personality, strengthening to respect for human rights and promoting understanding, tolerance, and peace. To provide education for peace and tolerance for everyone was enhanced as a state's obligation under Article 13 of the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights of 1966, and particularly to every child under Article 29 of the Convention on the Rights of the Child of 1989. The recognition of the special role of education for peace is deeply embedded in the Charter of the United Nations of 1945, when we determined to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war. For this end, we determined to practice tolerance and live together in peace with one another. It is possible only through education. Each one of us needs to learn and practice tolerance and living in peace through education. And it must start from children. This year marks the 25th anniversary of the United Nations Declaration and Program of Action on the Culture of Peace. The Program of Action emphasizes that a culture of peace is fostered through education, in particular for children from an early age. Education on the values, attitudes, modes of behavior, and ways of life to enable them to resolve disputes peacefully and in a spirit of respect for human dignity, tolerance, and non-discrimination. As this year's International Day of Peace is observed on 21st September with the theme, Cultivating a Culture of Peace, the culture of peace needs to be cultivated in the minds of children and communities through formal and informal education across countries and generations. Education in this regard should start within the family, and the roles of schools and communities are critical. Incorporating education for peace and tolerance in school education is fundamental. However, the Committee on the Rights of the Child, in the review of the country reports, has rarely found peace education incorporated in school curricula. I admit that the committee has not done enough either. While the committee always makes a recommendation to all countries that human rights education be incorporated in school curricula, it has made such recommendations concerning peace education only to several countries. I would like to make a few suggestions. It is essential to create nexus between human rights education and peace education. SDG Target 4.7 already recognizes education for human rights and cultural peace as part of quality education. Education for peace, together with human rights education, should be integrated in a holistic manner in school education at all levels. It is also crucial that the children benefit from transformative power of education for behavior changes by nurturing the attitude of tolerance, learning, and developing skills of dialogue, negotiation, consensus building, and peaceful resolution of differences. Such education can be effective only when adults engaging with the children in their daily lives, in particular school teachers and family members, also receive training and support for education for peace and tolerance. Education for peace is relevant to all children, but it is even more important for children living in situations of conflict. As the Dhaka Framework for Action, Education for All on 2000 notes, in the conflict-affected context, educational programs should be conducted in a ways that promote mutual understanding, peace and tolerance, and that help to prevent violence and conflict. In this regard, it is significant that the Human Rights Council Resolution 54/5 highlighted children affected by armed conflict or associated with armed groups or terrorist groups. These children are victims of conflict. victims of violence. Child victims must be provided with support and for recovery and reintegration in an environment that fosters the physical and mental health, self-respect for dignity of the child in accordance with Article 39 of the Convention on the Rights of the Child, so that they can play a constructive role in society to build sustainable peace. And education is the key. To ensure education for children affected by armed conflict, education must be protected from attack. School must be a safe place for children and teachers. Providing education to all children in all countries, both in peacetime and in time of conflict, is the obligation of all states. Last year, the Secretary General issued a guidance note on child rights mainstreaming and reiterated that children's rights need to be integrated in all three pillars of the work of the United Nations: human rights, development, and peace and security. Children's rights are relevant and should be central to peace and security agenda. Children are not only victims of conflict. Children should be recognized as rights holders, agents of change, and important actors in society for all our collective efforts of conflict prevention and peace building. The theme, education, peace for every child, should be connected to the UN Peace and Security Agenda, including the upcoming review of peace building architecture. Thank you very much.